how to crush a sales call in just 20 minutes. And honestly, your sales calls should be about 20 minutes max, in my opinion. Now, some people call this discovery call, some people call it a sales call. I've even heard people call it a consult call. And I've noticed that the people that call it a consult call, they end up running sometimes over an hour long. And if you think about the word consult, it's kind of like giving advice, and that's really not what you want to do on a sales call itself. The advice comes once they make the purchase. And so really getting your mind kind of wrapped around of, okay, what is this call? What is the point? I don't mind the word discovery call because you are kind of discovering if they are a good fit. If you kind of go into the call thinking, hey, I'm going to qualify them to see if they are. I don't mind that word. I really like the word sales call because it's very clear of what is about to happen within the call itself. Now, what ends up most of the time happening for people who have sales calls that are longer than 20 minutes is that the salesperson is so excited. They're so excited because someone is literally raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to know if your product is a good fit for me. They are literally sitting there waiting to be sold to, waiting to hear about your baby, your product, your offer. And it can be so incredibly exciting. And most of the time when people are excited, they over talk. And so today we're going to be talking about kind of the 3 stages of a sales call and how to really tighten it up so that your calls are efficient, they are effective, and they are driving to the next step of the buying process. I do want to mention one more thing here. It could be a call, but it also could be a direct message conversation. How to do that in a really efficient, effective way as well. So in my opinion, there are 3 stages. We have the first stage, which I'm calling the rapport building stage. The second is the presenting or the selling of your offer. And then the third stage is really landing the plane, getting that decision in some way, either yes or no, and moving on to the next step. Now, let's start with stage 1, the rapport building stage. Now, you've probably heard that you need to be liked, known, and trusted in order for someone to buy from you. And honestly, a lot of that is true. It is so important to be liked, known, and trusted for someone to feel like that they can give you their hard-earned money. But the problem here is that people are so confused on how to actually do that. Most people think, hey, let me just share about myself. Let me give just a little bit of my life, a little bit of information so that they know me. Hey, if they know that I have kids, if they know that, my husband and I, we just celebrated an anniversary, if they know that I just, went on a trip with my family, they're going to know that I value family, that I value my spouse, that I value my kids, and that's going to make them like me and trust me. But the truth of the matter is that is so distracting. It waters down the point of the call, and honestly, it makes you less credible. It makes you less, honestly, believable of what you actually do, which is the point of the call itself. Now, I know this might feel different, and I know I've been a prospect on a lot of calls, and most of the time they start out, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? And then the salesperson might say something, oh, I'm good. I just, finished up this big work project. I'm feeling really good about it. Oh, I'm doing okay. My wife is a little sick. And so, I've been taking care of her, just giving me a little bit of personal information. And like I said, it honestly just waters down everything. The point of a prospect being on a call is they are thinking, what's in it for me? Is this for me? Do I want it? Can I trust it? That's what they're thinking. And so your one and only job as a salesperson is to sit down, open the call, and say, hey, I'm so excited to see you. What brings you here today? That's it. And jump right in to the meat, which is stage 2. So this stage 1 should take seconds off of your call. Now, if you feel like, hey, Macy, I just really need something to soften the conversation before we start it, I get that. And sometimes that is needed. One of the best things you can do is offer a specific compliment based on your product. So for example, let's say you're a business coach. Maybe you kind of scroll through their Instagram, you take a little look-see and you see, man, they've been really consistent in posting. Maybe you jump in the call and you say, hey, Susie, I'm so excited you're here. I actually just took a look at your Instagram. You've been so consistent in posting over the last 6 months, and I am incredibly impressed by that. What brings you here today on this call? And just open the door and see where they take you. That leads us to stage 2. Really in between stage 1 and stage 2 is you listening before you present. I know I've been on sales calls where I'm the prospect and they go straight in presentation mode. Like they actually will share their iPad screen with me and actually present slides of their product without actually hearing what I am looking for. And so your job is to really, set the stage, what, has brought you here, and listen, hear what they want, hear what their problem is, hear what they need. Did you hear I said need and want? These might be two different things, right? They might want to be able to wear their wedding dress in 6 months, but what they need to do is do your, 12-week metabolism, changing program. Two completely different things, but it's important for you to hear so that you can present properly. Now, when people want to present their product, listen, it is your baby, and I'm an entrepreneur too. I have a product that I feel like I have birthed, I have worked so hard on, and I am so unbelievably proud of it that I want to tell everybody everything about it. But what ends up happening is that there's this part of your brain, it's called the neocortex brain, and that is what's responsible for language. But if you use it too much, it overheats and it checks out. And so your job is actually to say as little as possible with also connecting with them. So I'm going to give you a little example right here. Let's say you sell a shirt, okay? And there's all these things about it. It's cashmere, it's neutral, it's long sleeve, and it's also a little cropped. And there's this beautiful ruffle detail. You've designed this shirt, it is your baby, and you're just like, oh, it's so amazing. It's 85% cashmere, it's long sleeve, it's gonna look so beautiful on you. But if you just hold on for a second, you hear that they actually have a ton of variety in their closet. They've got so many colors, they've got so many textures, so many different like jewels, and they're very colorful, but they're having a hard time pulling it all together. So based on what you just heard that person said when you listened, which one is going to be way more important to them based on what you've heard? Being neutral. They need a neutral shirt so that their closet can come together in a very effortless, beautiful way. Of course, the cashmere is nice, the long sleeve is nice, the cropped, like all of that is great, but the one thing that matters to them is that they need a staple piece so that they can wear everything else in their closet. And so this presentation section right here, that honestly is like the one thing you could talk about. One, you could say something as simple as like, hey, this shirt is neutral, which means you are going to be able to confidently wear all the things in your closet and feel really good about all the purchases that you've made in the past. That one thing. And then of course you can test the waters and ask them a few more questions and say, hey, does that sound like it'd be something that would be really helpful for you as you get ready each and every morning? Open up the door, hear what they have to say. You can tell just by the way that they have their tone and that they're carrying themselves, tell if they're nodding, are they leaning forward? Maybe if they're shifting, that might not be a very good sign. You might not have hit it on the head as well as you possibly could have. And so you just go back to listening. You're just hearing and thinking, hey, what have I possibly missed? What am I not hitting on based on what they're telling me? And if you feel really good, if you've hit on the neutral point and you're there like, man, like my neutral like wardrobe is just shot. I have nothing. You're right. That is what I'm missing. Great. We're going to move on to landing the plane. I think the biggest mistake here, there's two mistakes that people make. Number one, they're just kind of like not asking a directive decision asking question. They might say things like, okay, well, what do you think? Does that sound like it'd be a good idea? Does that sound like that'd be a good fit? And then they're like, hey, just let me know, and close the computer. The other option is that they try to get your credit card number on the phone. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but my belief and our belief here at Guide Culture is that buying is a process. It's a process, it's not an event. And so a sales call is part of the process. And so your job is to close by getting them to the next best decision. That's all it is. That is what a close is. Do they need to talk to their spouse? Do they need to go and check their wardrobe just to make sure they don't have anything neutral? Do they need to think about it? Do they need to check their bank account? Like, I don't know what they need to do, but getting them to do that next best thing, that is your goal. And so I would just encourage you just to position yourself and really think of yourself of like, okay, I am like this wise and honest counselor. I'm coming alongside of them and I'm saying, hey, like if I were in their shoes and I heard, their budget, I heard their family life, I heard their problem, like what really is the next best thing, and encourage them to do just that. And then ask a decision asking question, okay? Decision asking question based on what's next. So that might look like, hey, do you plan on calling your spouse right after this call, or do you want to talk to them at dinner tonight? Say, well, I think I'm going to talk to them at dinner tonight. Great. I'm going to follow up with you tomorrow morning. Have my phone, my messages open. If he has any questions, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer for you. Do you see how you directed the conversation? You kind of help them make the decision themselves, and then you help them, move forward. But if you feel like they're ready to buy right then and there, absolutely, get the payment right on that call, but not everybody is there, and that is totally okay. Just land the plane into the next step of the process, and you should feel really, really good about the call overall itself. So you just learned how to crush a sales call in under 20 minutes, and I'm telling you, this is so possible for you. Do quick So glad you're here. What has brought you here? Listen, hear the one thing that they're looking for and find out one tiny little feature and benefit of your product and talk about that one thing, and then get them to the next step and continue to follow up with them consistently so that you can make sure that they do make the best decision for them possible. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, definitely subscribe to the channel. We are the Guide Culture School of Sales, and you learn all things sales, communication, and leadership. There's lots more to come on this channel, and so we will see you in the next video. Bye.